Welcome back to the table, everyone. We're going to continue playing on the Fighting Formations Kharkov expansion, and this was scenario near the back of the book. I forgot what scenario it is. We're doing scenario 19. This is the A Change of Orders. That's the one we're playing. Yep, that looks right. Okay, so the beautiful thing about this game is it's really easy. I will say this, for a solo player, it's really easy to walk away and come back, because when you walk away, you already know where the initiative is. It resides on the German player's side, so I know the German player gets to do something next. And if you're playing with your full order tracker, you know, you kind of know what cubes are left. However, we're reversing that, and we're rolling to see what order comes up. Just kind of an interesting take as a solo player. That's not an official solo rule, by the way, just a rule I made up as a solo player, to just kind of give it some variety with myself and my opponent. Also, someone in a YouTube comment said that the Soviet Union was made up of many nationalities, which is true. You know, one almost could argue, so was the German, I don't know if you want to call it the Reich. They took over a bunch of people. You know, we just said Germans, and I was just going with Russians. So I think I'll just might end up doing a combination of calling them Soviets or Russians. Again, no offense, but the deck of cards does say Soviet asset deck. So, you know, I might say Soviet, I might say Russian, interchangeably, not meaning to offend anyone. But I will just say German. I won't say Nazis, and I won't say that. I'll just say the German turn. So if I switch back and forth between Soviet and Russian, no offense, just the way my brain works. Okay, but I want to share something. There is an upcoming project I'm working on. I want to give a sneak peek. I did print out some vehicles here. Here, let me just bring this over. It's going to be some modern day miniature rule set, so I printed this out. We have a Striker IFV with a little movable turret. Printed that out, so that's kind of cool. Painted it up a little bit, and then we also have a Striker mobile gun system, which I also printed and painted up just a little bit. And I have a Soviet BTR. Here's the thing, if anybody has a suggestion for a great Soviet armor color for tanks, let me know. Like what paint company and then what color specifically, I'd like to buy that. This was some Flames of War Sherman drab that I used, so it might not be accurate color, but it looks kind of cool. But if there's something you could recommend for painting Soviet tanks and or like BTR vehicles, that'd be cool. I want it to look a little bit different. I've only got one can of Sherman drab, so if you've got a color I could pick up, I might order it off Amazon or something like that. Okay, so, okay, cool. 3 minutes of introduction stuff. Let's get back to the game. So we're on the German side, so let's take a look here. Blah, blah, blah. We're going to roll 1 die 10 to see potentially how much action point I'm going to end up buying here, spending 4. So the German player, it's on the German player side, and the German player is going to put a reminder cube of 4, and he could do a rally, he can fire, can move, or play an asset card. You know what? I said at the beginning I didn't want to have and use asset cards because I didn't want to have to manage them, but I'm sitting here going, gosh, but maybe just a couple asset cards. The game is you start with 3, but I tell you what, having 0 asset cards and then maybe just bumping it up to 2 asset cards, let's try that, because maybe I want to spend an asset card. So let me just grab 2 asset cards for the German player. He's got 1 as a reaction, so the reaction he could play later and then pay initiative to use it. So, but it's a make a 14 firepower, AP 3 range fire attack. Ooh, this attack originates from any hex containing a fresh German infantry unit not in melee. Okay, so like they're pulling out the heavy anti-tank rifle. Then in order, conduct an artillery barrage, conduct an artillery barrage or smoke barrage. Add 6 to the accuracy roll. If you give up the fate card, add 12 instead. Okay, well, artillery, without going too much into the rules, there's this fancy chart with an accuracy grid, and it's got down here what you would need. You know, like here's some defense values that you're rolling against of the type of artillery hitting versus the type of item you're hitting. There's one here for the basic units in fighting formations. And if you get the Kharkov expansion, there's one they put together which also contains the melee tables, which is kind of similar, but they also have the enhanced artillery chart to handle the new items that are added in the Kharkov expansion. So yeah, maybe I'll do artillery one day, because that would be a mortar attack. So I'll hold on to it. And I'll do the same thing for the Soviets. At some point, maybe I'll draw a couple of cards for them, and maybe I'll decide to spin an asset if nothing else looks good. Okay, so the German player can do a rally. Currently, there are no injured German units. We did very well. In fact, they did fantastic on their opportunity fire in putting some pain on the Soviets, and so the German player can now fire. But see, here's the interesting thing. This could be a short game because these units, not this one, but like the Stug and the Panzer IV, they can fire. Basically, you might say, but Eddie, what about that spent mechanic, right? Like if they failed a roll and they were spent, that pretty much goes away when they get activated on their turn. But this only lasts for that phase in which the enemy is activated. So as soon as they got done with all their movement, the spent tokens would go away and they'd be ready for the next activation phase and things like that. So, you know, the spent really is just kind of a temporary. It prevents me from, say, shooting once at here and then shooting again, shooting again, shooting again. As long as I keep rolling higher than that spent number, I mean, this one unit could fire every step of the way. But as it stands, they passed all their spent checks just fine. So he is ready. I could if I drop, well, I don't have to drop a command counter. They're already here. It's just that these, because the Stug is so far from the Panzer IV, I kind of have to look and go, which one has the better offensive capability? They have a, if I, instead of moving that camera all the time, maybe just kind of hold this up. He's got a 21 for his attack. That's what the black value is. It's the AP. And the Stug has a 19 on the attack. So the Panzer IV would be a better option to go with. Yeah, we're going to fire with the Panzer IV over here on the left flank because we've got injured armor units over here. So we're going to go with that. And clear these corn. I think it said this had a hindrance of 4. I'd have to look it up on the chart. I don't want to go off my memory. That means if any of my attack dice equal that hindrance number or lower, the shot is lost on either of the 2 dice that I roll. Yeah, and a field, is a hinder of 3. Which is fine because I'm going to roll 2 die 10. So I have pretty good odds of shooting up over the cornfield. The thing is, I am shooting up because this Russian T-34 platoon is on a slope. Like they're up on a hill, they're higher up. So, I mean, a person could argue, well, you're shooting up over the crops. But the rules don't say anything about shooting over terrain. It just says if there's intervening terrain, you're shooting through terrain. So there's a little bit of crops here in the way. But we're still going to take the shot. So what I got to do is activate who is going to shoot. Now, my German command has a range of 3. This cannon here, the 5cm, the PaK-38, it's in range 2 of the command. So I could activate them to shoot. Their AP firepower isn't as good. Here's an example of a unit where when it's not activated, it has a firepower of 12 and 6 firepower for HE. But when activated, it has two better. So it's got a 14 and an 8. So again, this is kind of a neat way of building into the mechanics. Other games where you have to look at a chart and say, well, if you're opportunity fire, you get penalties to hit and whatnot, but when you're the active player, you score. So it's just kind of neat that the double-sided counters take into account for you the fact if a unit is active or if it's on that, reactive fire phase. So I'll go ahead and activate those two. That's all I have that can shoot AP. My Grenadier unit only has a range of 3, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It could fire long range. Well, but see again, this tree technically would be blocking line of sight. If you think of the trees as a level higher, they can't shoot over the trees. So once the Soviet engineers come down, maybe get into here, then we can start shooting through the crops at them. So really the only unit that I really have a chance to doing much with, same here, even with this SDK, that's an HE, and there's trees in the way. Maybe I could shoot up here with this rifle unit, but this has a range of 4. But it's out of range of this command. So I could, see, here's the beautiful thing about this game. First of all, I want to thank Robert, I think, trying to, like I said, my memory's bad. But in the comments, he said he was picking this game up. So Robert, if you're listening to this, right, this is a really cool thing about the game. You have to really decide how much you want to activate. See, right now, these two units can activate for 0 extra initiative. That's supposed to be a 0, not a I got you sign or anything like that, right? But 0. What that means is, since I'm doing a fire action, if you look over here, now this is for anybody really. I mean, I'm just mentioning Robert because he said he was picking up the game. So when you look at this chart of orders, you'll see here that on this side, the German cost to fire is 2 initiatives. What that means is I'm going to move the German initiative here. I'm going to spend 2 initiative points. That swings it towards the Soviet side. Now, because it's on the 0 of the German side, they technically still get 1 more action before that initiative swings to the German side. But if you notice, moving for the Russians costs a 2, whereas their fire is 3, but move for Germany is 3. So Chad Jensen, when he was designing the game, he was trying to think a little bit about doctrinally how the different armies work. So you'll notice that as you move up, rally, even the sniper costs are different because historically, or maybe not so much, I don't know how historically accurate it is, but one of those things that you think about when you talk about like the Russian army and stuff is they were sniper heavy. So to activate and turn the sniper counter towards the German or towards the Russian player only costs 5 of these resource points, whereas it costs 7 for the German player, right? So what he was saying is that the German player, they are more inclined at shooting, better trained possibly, whereas the Soviets are all about move and massive just rush the opponent. So he's even trying to modify the costs of the army based kind of doctrinally how they behaved in the war. So that's kind of cool. So to fire, which is what we're doing, I have to swing, because remember I was at +2 initiative. I got to spend 2 initiative. Then when I activate these 2 units, because they're within that range of my command marker, there's no additional initiative. However, if I wanted to activate this gun, because he's out of range of that one, but look here, oh, look at this. So this is a interesting point. This is 0 command. So even though he's out of range of this command marker has a range of 3 as well, and I could activate him to shoot up at stuff. Oh my goodness, check this out, man. I could activate all my anti-armor stuff to try and find targets to shoot at because they're all within range of these 0 command markers. So this is part of your strategy in thinking things out, is where do you place your markers? That's what I was saying. If you're the German player and you're playing a defensive line, bam, you just pop down your command markers and you are completely overlapped and can activate everything. Really cool system. All right, so slight segue there for people who are interested in seeing how some of the mechanics work. Now, that is one thing, though, that after reading through the rule book, I didn't see where it said you could only activate off of one command marker. So if I'm wrong, let me know, and I'll fix that for future games. But for now, there's a command marker, and I'm in range, and it's on the mission command side, which means no additional initiative to activate him. But see, if I had no command marker here, and if I was going to activate them being so far away from their commander, it would cost 2 initiative. So I'd have to swing that initiative marker 2 more initiative points for every unit I activated that was not within range of a command marker. So right now, theoretically, I could probably activate every single thing in my German line to shoot at stuff if we had valid targets. And I don't have a lot of valid targets because there's a lot of cover of the Russians as they come up here. But anyway, there's the segue. Let's get down to some shooting. So what is my Stug going to shoot at? Earlier, the Stug shot out of its front arc here at that set of T-34s. So that's what they're going to do again. So they have a firepower of 21 now that they're activated. What was it before? 19. So 19 when it was opportunity firing, 21 now that it's active. And again, I'm just going to double check my firing chart. I don't think I have any modifiers to shoot though. Where's my little chart? I never have the chart that I want when I want it. Okay, so first of all, the little player aid gives you a nice little walkthrough of the fire attack sequence. So we're just picking our target within line of sight. It is line of sight, no intervening terrain in the way, no hindrance terrain. We're declaring an AP shot. We're starting with 2 die 10. I'm looking at the modifiers. None of these modifiers apply because we're within range. The gun has a range of 9 in its little superscript. I'm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, well within that. It's not short range, not extreme range. I'm not firing into a flank arc or anything like that. So boom, I'm rolling 2 die 10 with the Stug. Now the Stug, it only gets 1 shot. Okay, so it's not like if it's doing reactive opportunity fire, potentially shooting at something every hex it moves into. It's 1 shot. So here comes our 1 shot. Now remember, if I roll a 1, I rolled a 1. A 1 is a natural hindrance. This 1 accounts for all the natural dips in the terrain that vehicles or infantry might be hiding in. So that's a miss. So it's not an attack of 8 plus their skill. It's a 1. Oops. Maybe the vehicle, the platoon, it's not moving, but as they're, because remember it's got a do not move on it, but the other vehicles in there, they're not necessarily moving forward, but you could narratively say maybe they're like dodging and trying to find dips in the ground, and they're finding those gosh, now I can't even think of what it's called when they look for the natural, oh gosh, why can't I think of the term, man? It's where the tanks, they try to find a fighting position, but it has a different name. I can't even think of what it's called right now. I just had a complete loss, but we do it all the time. Criminy. Anyway, he missed. So I'm going to flip him from his active side to the done side. So every time they're finished, whether they hit or miss, they just flip, and now he can't act again this phase. Alright, the SDK with its little cannon on it, it can't shoot the armor because it's an HE only. So I gotta find a soft target. Okay, so trees in the way there. Trees in the way there. Ooh, maybe. Trees in the way because it's cutting through. Oops, sorry camera. Trees in the way. So actually, right here, I can shoot into this Maxim with an HE round. So if I'm going to about the center point to the center point, it misses those trees. Has a range of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that puts it within double its range. So when it fires, it's not going to be rolling 2 die 10, it's going to roll 2 die 8, because that's a step reduction of 1 dice size. So we roll, came close to hindrance, but we got 10. So 10 plus its 7 firepower, that puts it at 17. So I'm going to mark that on my track here as a 17. So just to show you, let me just give you some whiplash here. But as you can see, what you can do is on this tracker, it has a nice track for numbers. So I just put my attack total 17. So I can, helps me so I don't have to remember everything. But now what I can do is check, who are we doing? This Maxim machine gun. I probably didn't even put it on the board so you can see, but I'm shooting from the SDK up here a little bit to this map. Oh no, I can't, because see, look, here's the slope of terrain. So I could only shoot at them if they were here. So I already messed up because of the terrain. So luckily, this was in 3 range of this unit. I couldn't do anything. Luckily, I didn't spend any extra initiative to activate him. I was just activating him out of hope. But they're just pounding away with their big old gun and nothing for him to shoot at. All right, same thing with the Pat gun. I might not have any targets because that's shooting through woods. That's shooting through woods. That's shooting through woods. That's shooting through woods. Now the Pat gun does have a high explosive firepower factor, but can't shoot through woods. So Pat gun was activated, but Pat gun can't shoot anything. Okay. The Panzer 4 F2. They're going to shoot here. Now remember, this cornfield does provide 3 hindrance, but I'm going to roll 2 die 10, and if either of these come up 3s, it's a miss. Otherwise, we're going to get a attack total. So only one of these needs to fail. So that shot is also a miss. Wow, they did much better as opportunity fire than they did activated. So boom. All right, well, I guess that balances that out. So that would be the end of the German activation. And because the initiative is still on the German side, so the way what you do is when it hits 0, it stays on the side of where it's coming from. Since I was coming from the German side, I'm on the German side of 0. So the Germans get 1 more activation. So we're going to take our die 10, a 2 order cost. So I'm going to put a token, because again, once I've used all 10 order tokens, that's the end of a turn. And that for the German player is fire. So again, you know, you caught me. I messed up. The Germans, I rolled a 4. Here, let me move this up here a little bit. I already messed up a little bit. I got ahead of myself. So this, I rolled a 4 the last time for the German player. And even though I did their fire, which is 2, I still have to spend the 4 initiative. So when you watch my tracker, see, I only counted 2 because in my mind I was thinking it's only 2 firepower if I did a fire. But anytime that you do an action here, and or any of the actions below the cube that you would be doing, you have to pay the full cube cost. So even though I did a fire action with the German player, I should have spent 4 initiative, not the 2. If I had rolled a 2, then it would have been only 2 initiative to enact that firing. So in actuality, this swung all the way to the Russian side. So it's 2 points on the Russian side. So honestly, that would have been the Russian roll. And what did we roll? A 2? So now, what that means for the Russian player is he can move for 2, or he can play an asset card. So I'm going to draw an asset card, because I said I'd have 2 on hand just in case. Flip any one active command marker, friendly or enemy, to its other side. Or eliminate 1 fortification in the same hex as a fresh Soviet infantry unit, or Okay, there's no hexes near the Soviet player, but check this out. We're going to flip one of these active command markers for the German player. Let me show you what that does. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend 2 initiative to play this asset card. So I'm going to discard it. I got a discard pile here created now. And I'm going to take this and flip it to the 1. So that means now, anytime that I do some actions over here with these German units, they're going to have a cost of 1. So whereas they used to have an additional cost of 0, they now have an additional cost of 1 if I activate them out to 3 hexes. So that was very good. That was, you could say that they had some partisans or something that caused some communication disruptions, and now the German player is having a harder time. But because that left the pawn still on the Russian side, and remember, even though I played a 1 asset order, I still had to spend 2 initiative points. That keeps it on the Russian side on the 0. So now the Russians get another activation, and they roll 4. This 4 is very popular. So that means I can rally, fire, move, or play another asset card. I've only got 1 asset card and eliminate 1 for, I can't even play it. So what would you do with a card you can't play? Well, the beauty is you don't have to hold on to it. Like I mentioned in the last game, I can actually spin this card to increase my odds of hitting with an AP round or an HE round. And I believe there's one or 2 more things you can do with a card to spend it, but usually to give yourself bonuses to shooting, that's where the magic is. So I'm going to hold on to this card and use it to boost some attack rolls. So what am I going to do here? I'm actually going to do the rally. So it costs 4 to rally. So I'm going to move this towards the German side. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that means the initiative has swung towards the Germans because the Russians are busy trying to pool their resources to bring some tanks back online. So now we had this unit here. I can try to rally both of these because they both have been wounded, right? So here's the thing. When it says rally, you don't have to activate them. It says you do not have to activate. If it is clearly known what units are doing what, you do not have to activate them. Okay, so because these are within 0 range of this command marker, I'm going to try and rally both of these units back into action. Alright, so we're going to start here with the stunned T-70. Now to rally, I got to roll that number or higher. Because that number is in black, if I roll under 12, nothing happens. They just stay that way. That's an 8. So they stay stunned. Now, for this unit over here, I need a 16. If I roll under 16, it becomes a confirmed kill, and I'll have to split that platoon up into individual elements. So roll well. 7. Nowhere close to well. Alright, well, I'm glad that happened because, again, this shows you how this works. So we have a confirmed kill. One of these tanks, finally the ammunition set off, and now it had this big brew up. I'll just move over a little easier to see. And now it's got a huge explosion on it. And what we do now is we take that one. The platoon is gone. We're going to replace it with 2 individual tanks. And this unconfirmed kill transfers onto one of those. That's what happens when you finally get a vehicle destroyed in a platoon. It then splits down to individual vehicles. One is dead, and then that transfer down. So that unconfirmed kill, that's bad. That was a bad. That means that platoon got wrecked earlier. The T-70, 12 is still a high number to run, but it's not nearly as bad. Okay, so that would be the end of the Russian activation. And now we are back onto the German side. So we're going to roll 1 die 10. to see what they get at 4. Okay, that's great. Now see, if I was more traditionally playing and pulling the, and random seeding, basically what happens with random seeding is at the beginning of a turn, you roll 1 die 10 for each of these cubes and place it accordingly. Rolling so many 4s to seed this, I've never done that before. But again, the German side, they can rally for 4, move for 3, fire for 2, asset 1. But remember, I still had to pay the full cost of 4. So we're going to shoot again. But because it's on a 4 cube that I'm spending, I got to put that on 0. So that's 4 initiative. But remember, here's the next doohickey, right? The Stug, if I move this up a little bit, the only 2 units that can do anything is this Panzer IV and this Stug. That's it. Everything else is blocked. But because this now is on the one side, smart play by the Russian player, it's now 1 more initiative. So I'm actually moving the initiative tracker 1 towards the Russian player side. So it's now going to be their turn next to do something. But it costs 0 to activate the Stug because that's still on the 0 side. Okay, so we'll start here with the Panzer IV. Nothing has changed. Well, actually, something has changed. Now, we're going to attack this hex. And you attack a hex, so you attack everything. I'm going to check one thing, because off the top of my memory, here, let me show you where I'm shooting at. I'm going to go from the Panzer F4, which is right there on the top. So I'm going to shoot from here to here, but the one thing I'm going to just hit the rule book real quick is clarify if I make a separate roll for each of these targets or if it's 1 roll for both. I think it's a separate attack roll for each, but I'm just going to clarify that in the rule book real quick. Alright, so just kind of reviewing it, I believe I'm going to make 1 attack roll, and then the units will make individual defense rolls. So I'll get a defense roll for this one and a defense roll for that one, but I'll make 1 attack roll at the hex. That sounds about right to me. Now, just based on our previous experience, I do have a hindrance of 3 for the cornfield, so if either of these dice turn up a 3, the shot is still a miss. Otherwise, it'll be an attack that both of those tanks will have to survive. Also, yeah, that's probably the biggest thing right there. So I just got to roll higher than 3. 6 and a 2, so that's a miss technically. So we're going to flip that. So there we go. Good for them. And the Stug. Let's see if you can see the Stug. You can. And it's going to attack here because that's what it's been shooting at. So it's in the same situation. It's within range of itself, and there was no hindering terrain or anything like that. So they're just going to roll the 2 dice, which means if they roll a 1, it's a miss. 10 and 4 is 14. 14 and 21. So what is that? 35. So I'm going to put my attack total on the 35 points. And so this one vehicle has to overcome an attack of 35, otherwise it's dead. And it's got 17 defense to start with. If I roll 2 10s, we're good. Yeah, it's dead. Because 9 and 17 is 26. Told you math. I'm not good at math. So because that's the second shot it's taken and it's got a marker on it, it is destroyed. So they're gone. That's the first casualty there. And I'm going to put that damage marker back into the draw bag. All right, there we go. First kill for the German player, and we're going to flip them. They're done. And that was 2 shots for the German player. I think that's correct. I think we're doing good so far. Okay, so now let's come back over here. Let's make that a little better to see. Yeah. Someday I'm hoping I get a mentor who can tell me how to do multiple camera setups and switch between cameras and things like that. That would be sweet. That way I could have one camera overlooking stuff like this so I can just click a button. So now we're going to roll. It's on the Russian side of things. So they get another activation. It's a 3. So we put that on the 3 cube. So the Russians can fire, move, or play an asset card. They didn't like the asset card they had, so they're going to use that to modify shooting later on. But they could fire now. No, they can't. They can move. I think we're going to go ahead and move. Let's see, what part of the battlefield are we going to move with? We're going to move the left flank. I'm going to grab one order marker. Now you can lay, I have 2 available command markers that I could play, and I could put them down if I want to move the whole line, which let's do that. Time to overwhelm the German defender. So we're going to place one here because that will cover out to 2. 1, 2, that covers out to here, and 1, 2, and I could put you here. And that would let me activate all the way out to here. I could activate this entire row. That's what we're going to do. Here we come. Human wave. Ah! Tanks. Ah! Men running. Ah! Tanks driving. Men running. Ah! Walking with a Maxim machine gun. Alright, let's go. Rifle unit has 6 movement points. 1. Now, I made the assumption earlier that it was 2 points to move into woods. But you know me, my memory should not be the be-all, end-all. So woods, come on. Yes, they do cost only 2. So that was not incorrect. Hey, I got one thing right. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Now, the German defender is looking out and going, "Oh, schnitzel! What have we got? We got Russians in the wire." Now we could open up and fire. MG34 has a range of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we could try to get them here, but they've got some protection of the woods. Or I could wait till some other target arises. So 1, 2, 3. What's the movement cost for rough? It is also 2. So 1, 2, 3. What's the defense of rough? Rough has a cover value of 1. Woods has a cover value of 2. So I could shoot into the rough, and we could try to pin them, and then we'll see if something else can move up. So what we'll do is try to, because we're going to rush across at some point, but let's catch him here, because this guy might, he was brave, but he might not be that brave. So let me show you what we're doing here. Ah, yes. Camera. Yeah, okay. Camera says this should do. So I'm going to fire this MG34. I could fire with both of these, by the way. Make 2 separate attacks, because they are within command range here. Oh, even if they were out of command range, it would just be two initiative points for them to fire, and that would. So there's another part of the game, Robert, if you're watching this. If you look here at my initiative track pointer, I can opportunity fire all day long as I'm willing to pay the initiative cost. So because that command order is on 0, I can activate all the German defenders I want to opportunity fire, and it won't move, right? But if they were out of range, that's where some of the strategy comes in as you play is, do I risk opportunity fire? Because all that does is push the initiative towards my opponent. So right now, because it's 0, it's on a cost of 0, we're going to do it. We're going to lay into the Russians as they come down charging from the hill. So we're going to shoot with this guy first. So he has, now remember, you don't have to activate them for that. You're just declaring it. What we need is that spent number, because if I roll a 1 or a 2, boom, they're spent. Can't fire again at anybody else coming. Same with the Grenadier, except they're going to roll a 3. Now the hindrance, because we're shooting over rough terrain is a hinder value of 2. So if I roll a 2 or a 1, the shot automatically misses. The bullets get lost. Now you might say, but Eddie, there's 2 hindrance hexes. It doesn't matter. You just take the highest value of all the hindrance terrain between you and the target. So if this was, say, rubble and pretend it gave a hindrance, well, it's smoke. Smoke, if it was on the 5 side and this is 2, even though I'm shooting through hindrance of that and the smoke, if it was here, I would only count the 5. So you just take the hindrance of the highest value once. Now, the machine gun has a range of 6, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So range of 5, so within range, and I don't have to pivot or anything like that. So I'm going to roll. If I roll a 1 or a 2, it's a miss. And if I roll a 1 or 2, the MG34 is spent during this entire activation of... It'll be spent during this entire activation, and I cannot shoot at any other infantry. So here we go. 4 and a 7. Okay, we're good. So that's 11 plus 14. That should be 25, I'm guessing. So I'm going to put this on a 25. Now their defense, they get 1 for the terrain that they're in, and they have a defense of 10. So that's an 11. So 11 plus 11 is 22. So in actuality, that means they got hit. So let's see what happens to them. Because we might draw something that won't affect their movement. Could happen. So I just shuffle, grab one of these cool damaged chits, find the person's side. They're broken. They can't fire or move. So now they're stuck. So we'll just put that with them. So I'm gonna flip them to the done side. So they can no longer go. And because I did not roll a 2, he is available to shoot at anybody else that comes within line of sight and range. And now, yeah, we're good. We're good. Let's leave it like that. I don't want to overcomplicate things. There is a rule for returning at someone who shoots at you, which we haven't been doing, but I haven't really had anything that qualified for that. And opportunity fire, I don't think triggers you shooting, because that's a reaction to this. But if this, anyway, like I said, let's not overcomplicate things yet. I think we're okay. So boom, infantry moved up, got mowed down a little bit. Okay, this rifle says, I'm gonna be brave. I'm coming down the hill. 1, 2, buckle my shoe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the MG34 team says, Daka, Daka, Daka. Let's open up on them, boys. It's a miss, and they're spent. Uh-oh. Now, you can have any number of troops open fire and see what they do when you do an opportunity fire, but you risk being spent. And then, you know, so you got to really pick your battles. Yeah, we want to stop as many of these infantry coming down the hill, because these German defenders, they don't know how many are coming. They just said, oh, those are the first ones that popped in. Let's light them up, boys. So this Grenadier, 1, 2, 3, he's going to wait. He could, and he would be rolling 8s to hit, but that just makes it easier for him to hit that hindrance limit or his spent limit. So we're going to see if the Russians come closer. So they were 1, 2, 3, 4. They're not going to cross the river hex. 5, 6. I got a hair right there. Okay, so I tell you what, right here is 3 away. So the Grenadiers see the whites of their eyes, and they open up and they say, let's nail them. And they rolled a 2 and a 7. Okay, so 1. Oh. Okay, so with this though, just real quick. The reason I didn't follow through with the attack is because they rolled a 2, and that equaled the hindrance level of this rough terrain. But here's the thing. I rolled a 2 and a 7, so this is lower than that Grenadier spent unit, so he can't shoot anymore, but because this guy's in the... Oh, wait, no. He's shooting through that, so it's a miss. It's a miss and a spent. I was going to say he gets to do the shot, but nope. If I rolled a 3 with the Grenadier, a 3 would have allowed him to complete the shot, roll his attack dice, and still get spent. But because I rolled a 2, the shot is lost to the hindrance of the rough terrain and to his less than his 3, so he is spent. And technically, the Russian player can still move. So we did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now we got to do something about that river, or we might just keep going past and try to take that control. So look, I flip them when they're done. Done. Easy to remember who's done what. Okay, now we've got 2 German defenders that are spent, so I can freely move these folks up. Now this guy is going to go. He's going to bring this mission command marker with him because they can't move on their own. So he's going to pick them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and he can't move in here. So he'll drop that. So he's done. And next time he does something, he'll probably drop that command. That way he's got range for everybody else who's moving up. Okay. I need to start thinking about units over here that might have line of sight. So 1, 2, 3. Again, those defenders are done shooting. 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, now you might say, but Eddie, look, there's a Stug. There is. Now this Stug could have shot across over here. Yes, it could have. I didn't think about it. I'm thinking about it now because these guys are closer. So they're going to take a shot at this group of people. And then we'll do one other thing, and that's reveal this sighting marker. So let's do that now, since they're adjacent to it. Now you can clear these by shooting them as well. Since the sighting marker has a defense value of 13, if I shot at it using all the regular modifiers and I scored a hit, I could flip it. So like from back here, I could clear sighting markers to see if it's actually mines or barbed wire or what. So, or you get adjacent to it. Since we are adjacent, they now see that it is a mines. So we won't move in there. So that's good for the German player. He put some defensive mines. So really that's going to funnel them either around the mines or to try and cross the stream. And that's 3 movement. And it offers no cover and it's clear line of sight. So crossing the stream is a great way for them to get shot up. Daka, daka, daka. So good job on the mine placement. And remember we placed these randomly at the beginning of the game, so that actually worked out good. Now normally the defender would actually decide where all those hidden markers go, but again, since I'm just doing solo, I just kind of placed them randomly. So I have no idea what's in front of my German defenders, but here I know there are some mines. And if we move in there is some mine rules that we can go over, but that's in the book. We'll follow that later. Not going to worry about it right now because we didn't move in there. But now the Stug is going to shoot. I'm going to leave him active because he wasn't quite done. So this is as far as he can move this turn because he doesn't want to move into the mines and he doesn't have enough to cross the stream. So he will be done. But I'm going to leave him. Since he's active. Since this is where he's ending his turn, yeah, he's going to get shot at while he's on the active side. Once that firing is resolved, he will then finish. So unfortunately, since he's moving, he gets a 10 defense instead of 11. Okay, so the Stug, this is in range of the Stug. This is in the Stug's still, luckily, in his front firing arc, so good positioning for the Stug. So he's going to attack with his 10 value. The hindrance here is 2, and he gets 1 defense when he needs that. So as long as we roll over 2, we get to make the attack. 9 and 4. Okay, so here's a good example of what I was talking about earlier. I rolled a 4, which is the spent value. I was reading the book. That's called rate of fire. That's what the diamond means. So his diamond value is 4. So that's rate of fire. So because I rolled a 4, his rate of fire value, he gets no more opportunity shots. But because 4 is higher than the hindrance value, the shot still goes through. So we're going to add 13 to his 10, so that's a 23. So I'm tracking attack value 23. So now the defense is 1 for the terrain plus his 10. So he's sitting at 11. Rolls 2 dice. 11 plus 12. 11 plus 12 is 24. Ooh. It barely beats out the Stug's machine gun attack. So he actually takes no damage. They are able to dive into the rough terrain and hide. All right, cool. So they're spent, they're done. Let's continue to move. Oh, see, that was a bad choice shooting with the Stug because here comes an SU-85. Now the SU-85 has a good clear shot at the Stug. Now because we're doing a move and not an assault, he can't move and fire. But he doesn't need to get any closer because he's in range, so he's going to flip and say done. Then here we go again. We're going to move some dudes up. 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, because they're spent. Let me check something in the book real fast. Okay, I'll be honest. I forgot what I was looking for. I was looking to see if we could shoot while spent, like if I could spin an asset card. So anyway, in the playbook, it shows the 3 special actions that you can spend a asset card on. This is modifying your attack range with your armor piercing rounds, with the high explosive rounds, or light machine guns. You can increase the range of a light machine gun by 1, and what you do is you discard one of your asset cards. So I don't see anything that will allow them to shoot while spent. So they had their opportunity to fire, they can't. And I was just checking on that because I've got that, you know, the Stug, maybe he could shoot up at the SU-85, but no, he can't. He's spent. So they had their opportunity to opportunity fire, and they're done. Now here's the thing, just out of remembering, the playbook has some extra rules in here. Mostly this is explaining things not in the basic rulebook. So this is like your module rules, and it's got all of the cards explained, all the asset cards, their bonuses. It talks about mines, fortifications. There's also some special events, which is an optional rule. For those who love the extra chaos that you remember from having played Combat Commander, I should have put these in here, so maybe I'll add them later. But you can have some extra stuff happen, like heroes created, breezes, snapshots, things like that. Then going over the rules for scenario setup. So yeah, if they're spent, they're spent. They had their chance to shoot and they failed. Okay, so this rifle unit moved up. Oh, and let me check one other thing. I'll be right back and then I'll tell you what I was checking. Okay, so I was reading in the playbook and it said it was talking about the mines, and the main rule book talks about how to resolve a mine attack. And it says that mines are revealed when you step into the hex. And I went, uh-oh, does being adjacent not reveal a sighting marker? But the rule says either you attack it and reveal it, or be adjacent or move into it. Also, the owning player of a sighting marker can reveal it at any time. So the German player, if they want, they can reveal these sighting markers whenever they want. I don't feel the need to. I want them to be surprises for people who come up adjacent to them. So as it stands, nobody can shoot at him. Nobody can shoot at the SU-85. So where were we? 1, 2, 3, 4. We reveal this one because he moved adjacent. Nothing there. So what that means is I can go here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Why would I move adjacent? Well, that gives me an opportunity to attack here or attack the Stugs. I can't really attack the Stugs because I don't have any AP ammo with me. But that puts me adjacent here so I can maybe start wreaking havoc on the fortificate. We'll do it. We're just pushing up, right? Human wave. Blah! And they can't return fire. But here we go, some new stuff. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ah, but look here. This guy can shoot and the Grenadier can shoot, and no cost for them. So let's do it. MG42 is in range. He's got a range of 8. He's got no hindrance in the way. He's no arc to worry about, so he's just going to open up with the default. He rolled a 1. Even though he rolled that fantastic 10, I would have loved to have kept that. 1 is the default hindrance, which means that shot misses. Now it missed, oh, and because I rolled a 1, it's lower than the rate of fire. That means it also gets counted as spent. So he opened up and missed. Well, that sucks. Then the Grenadier. 1, 2, 3. The Grenadier is going to fire. Again, no intervening terrain to cause hindrance. Well, I didn't realize they had a higher attack value than the MG42. Huh. Let me see. Yeah, weird. Okay. Well, it's one MG42. So one thing to note, this is a single squad of an MG42 team. It's not a platoon. The way you can tell, let me zoom in for you. Right next to the name, there's a pip. Little tiny pip. 1 pip is a squad. 3 pips is a platoon. So platoon firepower value is generally higher than an individual squad, which is why sometimes it's hard to decide if you want to break down your platoon. See, when this guy was wounded, before we broke him down from the platoon, I could have broken them down, could have done a deploy, and that would have kept these 2 individual tanks on their more healthy side and would have kept that wounded marker here. But see, if you notice, the combat values of an individual tank are worse than the platoon value. So really, deploying your troops to try and mitigate damage, you know, could work for you, because if I had broken this down, right, to 3 vehicles, I could then be operating 3 vehicles and getting multiple shots, but at a factor of 12 instead of a factor of 13. So there's decisions you have to make. Do you deploy so you technically could get more shots and mitigate damage, but your firepower goes down? So if I had, let me demonstrate that for you here with this. Let me pause this real quick. I love showing you guys this stuff. All right, I didn't take it out of the baggie, but I'm hoping the glare isn't bad. So an MG42 platoon is an attack value of 7, whereas an individual MG42 squad or team is an attack value of 11. So that's a big difference. When you have these things grouped, big difference in firepower. When you deploy and separate it down, yes, you get more firing opportunities, but at a cost of firepower. So that's why this Grenadier platoon has more firepower than an individual MG42. That's a platoon versus a squad. So this platoon is going to put down some firepower into this platoon in the tree. Now they're going to roll the 2 dice 6 because this is in range. 1, 2, 3. There's no pivot or anything like that, but there's no hindrance. So if I roll a 1, it misses, and if I roll a 3, they're spent. Alright, so it hits with a 10, so that's an attack value of 25, but I got to dig out another spent counter because that hit their rate of fire, so they can't fire again this activation. So here comes a spent. Boop. And the Russian player now gets, what's the defense value of a tree? Defense value of woods, cover of 2. So that's 2 plus their so that's 12. So we're starting at 12 and we're adding 5. That's 17. Okay, well, that was a horrible roll. So they're going to get broken down. All right, I'm going to pause. Oh, you can't see what we're doing. All right. Oh, why did I get a spent marker out here? I have just a floating spent marker. Yeah. Who knows? Oh, because the MG42. Spent. Okay. Let me pause and grab. Now I got to get 3 individual rifles. No, I don't. No, I don't. That's only if they take another hit. This is their first hit. So randomly shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. And we grab this one, flip it to the infantry side. Oh, pinned. Okay, they can still shoot. So we're going to flip them now. They've been activated, they've done their movement, and they're pinned in the forest. They can still shoot, they just can't move. Not a big deal. Perfect. Okay. Oh yeah, we're making some progress now. Okay, SU-85. They're going to move here. And again, they can now shoot that Stug, and they don't need to move any closer. Boom. Done. Planning for the future. Rifle team. 1, 2, 3, 4. The SDK here can shoot now. Yeah, they'll wait. They'll wait here because moving in the open is silly. They're gonna have to move in the open at some point, but they might be able to shoot into this building and whittle them down. So they're gonna stay put. Okay, so the SDK is firing some rounds. It has an attack value of 7. It's got a spent value of 4. So let's see. There's no hindrance in between it and the target. It rolls the natural 1, which means it hits the hindrance value. So somehow those bullets got lost in the way over. And now I gotta find a spent marker because 1 is less than its rate of fire of 4. Boom, done. They tried. They made the attempt. It didn't work out. And they're gonna stay there in the woods. Then the Maxim machine gun unit. Now I didn't show you there. There you go. So the SDK here had a rate of fire value of 4. And since we rolled a 1, that's why the shot missed and they got that. Okay, here we go. The machine gun team moves up. 1, they only have 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. Now, we're just gonna do that. I'm not gonna cover anything else. Everything else here, that's all spent. They fired. They were. Now they're reloading. The only person that has even a clear shot is not even them because there's buildings in the way. Done. All right. That's all the Soviet units. They done their thing. They moved a lot. Problem is they stretched themselves out a little bit away from their command marker, so that could hurt them. Now, let's move up here. And you can see that it is still on the Soviet side. So they're going to roll. It's an 8. Oh, man. That's a big one. And that's on battalion support. They could draw an asset card or any one of these other actions for 8 points. So they could do an assault. Now, the beautiful thing is, because they've already activated for this, you could say turn, doesn't matter. I could do a fire action right now, and all those units that just got done moving, I could activate as many of them as I want for an order because it's a whole new phase. They can only do 1 action per phase, but as long as I keep stringing phases together, all those units can just keep churning out. I mean, I could do rally to try and rally some folks. I have a lot of options here with that. I can assault. Assault means I can move vehicles in, which I'm not going to. I could advance, which means I could move infantry into melee. Advance means everything can move 1 space and allows infantry to advance in. But I don't have enough people in. Haha. I bet you. I wonder if I could probably advance 1. Yeah, I could advance 1. Now the nice thing is when you advance, you don't get shot at. It doesn't trigger opportunity fire. So I can move all these units that I would want to advance. Like if I wanted to move all of these guys across the river and whatnot, they could all move up for this advance order and then be poised to do... Oh, I need to take these spent off. Oh my gosh. It's a lot of marker management sometimes. But so beautiful. Alright, these guys are reloaded and ready for action. But here's the thing. So I could move. See, now that they're ready to shoot again, I could do an advance and move all these guys here. And then, at some point, if I was lucky, I could then get another advance order and move all these Soviet units in to take out that hex. I could flip the sniper. I can do a rally. I could just fire. We might just fire since we're so adjacent and just start shooting. We're close. Like, I could open up with all these squads. This has a range of 1. It's an SMG platoon, but I think what we'll do is we're going to attack this building area. So what we'll do is we're going to spend 8 initiative and we're going to set up an attack. So we have to do this. Let me move that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that puts it on the 7 side. So depending on how we roll for future cubes, that could give the German player a lot of stuff they can do. But now for us, we have the 0 mission command, 1, 2. So all of these are going to activate to shoot. So they come down and now they got into their fighting positions and they're going to start shooting into there. Now see this guy all alone. It's going to cost him 2 initiative. That would push it towards the German side more. Do I want him to attack? He's adjacent. He gets a dice bonus. So what I'm going to do, oh man, all 3 of my Soviet command markers are on the board. So we're going to go ahead and give the German player 2 more points and we're going to activate him. It's a gamble. Since we're doing a fire, I don't know, this might not be the best, but we're going to have the Su-85. 1, 2, okay. This Su-85, I didn't plan very good, is out of range of this marker. So if I was to activate him, that would also be 2 more initiative points. I think I'll wait. Right now the Germans have 9 initiative points on their side and there's only 2 order markers left. So that might go badly for the Russian player. So we're going to activate this guy because he's right next to an order marker for 0. And all these other guys are out of range. Well, they're in range. So I could have this 1 squad shoot back at, say, shoot back at the F2. Maybe we'll do that because he's got no fire and he's not in range to shoot anything. Okay, so we've got a few things activated. So let's just start over here and then we'll slowly work our way over. Okay, so let's focus on here real quick. So we bring the camera in, the action focuses over here. So we're going to start with this rifle unit. It has 13, it's a range of 2, 1, 2, so it's in range. So it's going to roll 2 die 10. Nothing about, yeah, there's a hindrance value of 2. Ooh, a 9 and a 6, so that's 15 plus 13. That's 28. I had to think about that. Math is not my strong suit. All right, so let's check the defense. Now, they have here entrenchment. Entrenchment replaces the value of the hex you put it in. So maybe this was bad putting this in a building, but the buildings gave, I didn't think this through. Oh, yeah, I did not think this through. I should have looked ahead of time. Buildings have a cover of 4. I just placed it down thinking, oh, that'd be cool. Let's put entrenchments here. They give us 6 versus barrage, but only 3 against everything else. I should have put these on the tanks that are out in the open. Yeah. Crap. Well, that was stupid. But I'm going to play it out. So learn from my setup mistake. Don't put entrenchments in building hexes. Alright, well, you reap what you sow. Okay, so we have a 3 defense and they have a 12. So let's see how we do. Roll good, German player. Ooh, 17. 17 plus 12 is what, 29? So that right there, he'd beat it. Plus he would add his 3 for the defense. Okay, so now let's check out the MG34 platoon. Okay, that's an 8. 8 plus 3 is 11. 11 plus 12 is 23. And that's less than the 28. So actually they got wrecked. And there's more shots coming into them too. This is just the beginning. So we grab, get all of them in here. I need a better drawing way here. Pinned. And they're done. Okay, good shooting, Tex. Then we'll go to this rifle squad. Now they're range 2. 1, 2, 3. So that means their dice get reduced to 8s because they are at long range. 4 and 5 is 9. 9 plus 13 is 22. Not quite as good. And then we're going to go the Grenadier unit. Has a base of 15 defense. 15 plus 18. Yeah, he beat that out. Then the MG 34 team, they have a defense of 15. Plus 15 is 30. Alright, so not so good. Not so good shooting for you. SMG squad is long range, so they will also be rolling 2 die 8. There's no hindrance in between, so just the natural 1. If you roll a 1, it's a miss. So it's 8. 8 plus 14 is 22. And the Grenadiers, 10. It's already a 22 plus the 3, 25, so they're fine. And the MG34, 19 plus they beat it easy. Okay, so SMG, they need to get up closer. This rifle squad, now they are adjacent, which means they're going to roll these big fat die 12. Ooh. That's about the only thing that gives a bonus to shooting, is being adjacent. Everything else is like -1, -1. So there it is. Short range, adjacent hex. Now there is a rule, and we did not cover this one, but when a unit fires, you can have one unit fire at any unit on the opposing side. So technically, after each of these shots, I could have had the Grenadier return fire, but he would risk being spent. But to show you that, what I will do is after this rifle team shoots, I will have, if they survive, I will have the MG34 team shoot back. Now remember, it says that you could have any, like I could have a Stug. It doesn't have to be the unit shooting at it, but I could have like this Stug unit fire back if I wanted to, or the Grenadier fire back. But you can have anybody fire back at whoever did that shooting. But because we're close, I'm going to roll 2 die 12. That's going to be amazing. Oh, 18. All right, not bad. 18 plus 13, 18. So that'd make it 30, 18, 31. Holy cow. If that's correct, that is vicious. 18 and 13. Yeah, because if you take 10, that'd make that 23. Add 8, 31. Yeah. Okay, that's devastating. All right, so good luck surviving that, Grenadiers. So their Grenadiers are a base of 15 plus 15 is 30. Oh, yeah, they didn't survive. Oh, they came so close though, because the attack value is 31. All right, so that Grenadier, they might not be returning fire. Oh, they got broken. They can't fire or move, so we'll have to rally. That square is getting wrecked badly. Okay, so then the MG34 team, 10 plus, that's 25. So they got broke. All right, I'm going to have to break them down. All right, so I'm going to break down the MG34 platoon. It's going to get a broken, oh wait, where did I put their, oh, pinned. They're pinned, but they are now 2 squads. They don't fight quite as effectively, and one of them gets the pin marker, so I'll just stick it on that. So not both of them, just that one. And this Stug says, no, well, actually, they could fire back, but the Stug has a better fire back ability. So, well, by 1 point. So, they'll fire. So the Stug says, "No, I will avenge you," and he gets to roll the die 12 because that target is adjacent. So this is his return fire action. So he rolls. Well, it's misses because the 2 is. Oh, there's no hindrance. Yes, because this doesn't count as hindrance. This is now cover. But it does mean his rate of fire is out, so he can't do any more return fires against anybody who does shooting. Like, I can't return fire against the Su-85. Okay, so I should have had the infantry fire back. Again, not thinking this through. Was more interested in just avenging them. I didn't think clearly because now I have a Su-85 about to wreck that Stug, and what I should have done is if the Stug survived, kept them so they could fire back. But there's a chance that, I could have rolled higher. I was thinking on a die 12, the odds of me rolling a 4 or less would be lower, technically. Anyway, what did I say? That was a 3, and I forgot what I rolled. Crap. So we're going to say it was 11 plus his 10, that's a 22. So we'll say he's got 22 attack value. So the rifle needs to roll 2 die 10. We got to roll high. Oh, 30. He easily dodges all the gunfire of the Stug. Now this Soviet Su-85 is going to shoot there at the Stug. So he's got an attack value of 20. 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he's well within range. There's no intervening whatevers. It's in his arc. So he's going to roll 2 die 10 and add 20. Oh, you know what he's going to do? Check it out. He's going to add... He's going to use this card. Remember, this is a card that I said sucks. Eliminate 1 fortification in the same hex as a fresh Soviet infantry unit or in an adjacent hex if the unit is an engineer, which my engineer unit is on the far side of the board and he's not adjacent to a fortification. So, well, it would have been a fortification, not so much. Yeah, I guess that could have counted as a fortification. But what we're going to do is use this to fire an APCR round at the armor-piercing composite rigid round at that Stug, which gives us a bonus damage based on our range. And I think I had that range listed here on one of these cards. Nope. It's in the book, though. It's right in here. Thought I had it on a play aid, but okay, we're how many hexes? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So based on a range of 6 hexes, come on. We go, look at this chart, we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So plus 3. I get to add plus 3 to my AP shot. So 3 plus 10, so that's 13 plus 20, 33. So the Su-85 fires an APCR round, and I just totally bumped them. Oh, where were they? I think they're right there. Now, this Stug only gets 2 cover for being in rough ground, and he has a defense of 21. So actually, he might survive it very well, unless you roll a 4. 4 plus 21 is 25. Plus, I think it was 2. Anyway, that's way less than what he needs. So they're hit. Crap. Oh boy. Things are looking rough. So we roll immobilize. Okay, cool. So, I mean, it's not good, but he can fire back. And he's not moving, so they're just pill bunkers now. Still trying to think of that word where tanks, when they're moving, they look for cover. Gosh, what is that? It's when they, drive the hull down, but they still have the top turret exposed. Hull down. Thank you, Eddie. The hull down position. So basically, they're kind of immobilized, but they're in their hold down positions now. They're just stuck in shooting. All right, and then we flip the Su-85 because he did his piece. Now, if I had been thinking, I wouldn't have used him to shoot the infantry. It would have been smarter to have them return fire, because now he can't return fire. But I could have another unit return fire because he fired. I could have somebody else that is able to, and let's check for the Panzer F2 over here. Can you see the you can barely see it. No, it cuts through the woods there, and then that gun cuts through that woods. Yeah, my defenders aren't positioned very, very well, but okay. All right, that's the the T-34. Can't forget him. He's going to shoot at the Panzer F2, but he's going to roll 2 die 10. Now it's just this one. The hindrance is 3 for the cornfield. 9 and a 6, so he's perfect. So that's 15 plus his 13, 28. Defense value, so they're in the open. See, that's where I would have put that cover, the entrenchments, because that would have put them in their hold down positions and given them 3 versus putting entrenchments in buildings. Oh man, Eddie. Why'd you do that? All right, here we go. Range of 8. They're within range. So they roll a 7. Okay, so the 2 means the shot is lost here in the cornfield. Did I already roll for him? Yeah, I did. I'm rolling the defense. So that's a 7. Cheating. 7 plus, that's 24. See, if I had played it right, he would have been in an entrenchment, but he's not. So yeah, it's just 24 versus the 28 attack. So, okay. T-34 is messing him up. Ooh, lots of badness. But at least it's a bad, unconfirmed kill. But at least it's horrible. Oh man, that's bad. Okay. The darker the color, the worse the hit. Little tip there for you. Alright, and then we flip that. They're good. Right. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and play this out because the German player has lots of initiative to spend. So we get a 3. What can we do for 3? Germans can move. So let's, or fire, or play an asset card. Let me see what we got for assets. There's conduct an artillery barrage or smoke barrage. Add 6 to the accuracy roll. If you give up the fate card, ooh. Fate card, this is something we haven't discussed, but basically, if you're familiar with like Combat Commander or other games with a similar mechanic, this is your tiebreaker card, the fate card. So it either belongs to the Russians or it belongs to the Germans. So it says, immediately after any one dice roll is made, you may pass the control of this card to your opponent in order to have that roll canceled and re-roll. So, okay, cool. It starts with the Soviet, so I can't add 12 to accuracy. Do I want to add a barrage? I don't want to do a barrage, so we'll hold on to those. So I don't want to play an asset card, but we will fire. Fire! But it costs 3. 1, 2, 3 to fire. Now, who's going to fire? Now remember, they can't, but I can deploy them. I could deploy them. Now, does deploy, let me check if deploy would count as their turn. I got you here in the rule book. Let's see, deploy. Deploy would be to break those down. That way I'd have 2 good functioning units that could act and then 1 wounded guy. As a friendly platoon is activated for an order, before it or any other activated units begin their allowed activities, including abandonment, it may deploy into 3 like squads. A platoon must be under mission command or tactical command to deploy. Out of command cannot deploy. So what we're going to do is I'm going to deploy. So I'm going to pause, get some tanks, and then we'll deploy them. I can't deploy it because I just realized it's an individual vehicle. Normally, in most of these scenarios in the base game, everything is pretty much at the platoon level. So the Kharkov was kind of cool because it put stuff at an individual level, and that's what that's at. That's actually one tank. Oops. So yeah, they're hurting. They can't fire. So he can't fire. He can fire. Yeah, this is a new activation, so the stud can fire now. So we're gonna fire. We're gonna fire. I'm gonna fire this guy because he's immobilized. He's not unable to fire. We're gonna fire here. These two MG-34 squads are now deployed throughout the buildings, and they only one of them had a mobilized, so he can fire. Can you see where I'm at? Right over here. So I'm going to activate the two MG-34s because they were pinned. So right here, they're within range, so no additional initiative. We're going to activate him to fire. We're going to activate the MG-42 to fire. And we're going to activate that to fire. Alright, that's it. Okay, we're going to start with the MG-34. So we got juicy targets here. I got targets over here and a target here. I'm going to start here, and we're going to fire at this rifle. So that's a range of 6. Okay, we're in range. So I'm just going to roll 2 die 10. There is hindrance, so if I roll a 2, that will miss. 9 and 3, so that's 12 plus 9 is 21. So we got 21 attack. That's not very good. So the defense of this guy, he's got 2 for the rough. I thought that was rough. I thought it was 1. Make sure. Oh, it's only 1. It's not defense of 2, so it's a defense of 1. So he's got a defense of 12 plus 6 is 18. So they're hit. First hit is just the marker, and they can still shoot, but they're pinned. So they're down there. They're pinned. Now see, it could return fire, or someone else could return fire. You know, you just have to check if you get that spent. And just for sake of time, we won't return fire. We're just gonna take it. But it's an option. If you've got lots of time, which technically we have lots of time, but I don't have lots of time, so we're just gonna ignore the return fire. But keep that in mind. You can return fire. You can. You can have 1 unit return fire. And if I even remember, I think it said you don't have to fire at the unit that shot at you. You could, the unit shot at could let me look. Okay, I was just checking. That's what I thought. It's any unit that's eligible can make a return fire on a unit that just fired. So just for sake of, I'm just gonna pretend that didn't happen. Like they're just gonna. No, they will. Dang it. Okay, so he shot. They're gonna return fire. Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they? But oh no, he's gonna return fire. So it's like, ooh, you shoot at me, I'm gonna shoot at you. Now I could actually have anybody else return fire, but they're gonna return fire. They're like, you shoot at me, I shoot at you. There is a hindrance there. They're not adjacent, so it is just 2 die 10. 12 plus 13 is 25. And that means all of that now has to check. So the broken unit, so this is why it can get messy, which is why I was hoping not to do that, because I was like, it's just messy. Here, let's zoom over. So let's watch the messy. So these guys, yeah, these guys are shooting in. Where were you supposed to be? I guess you're right here. Okay, so it's a 25. So they are a defensive. They're already at 15. I need to roll 10 or higher. 10 or higher, so they're safe. This one has a defense of 14. So they need to roll 11 or higher. Right. No, I'm looking at the wrong number. Yeah, 15. So 11. So it is, it's 14. 5. Okay, so this unit by himself is hit. Okay, so return fire was actually not a bad idea for them. All right, so he's shaken. He can do everything, but if he's hit again, he's eliminated. And then these guys are the same, 14, and they're fine. 14 and 13, so they're fine. Okay, so he shot, let me see. This guy shot at him, pinned him, I believe, and then they returned fire, and they did all that. So he is done. So complicated. They can't return fire because I rolled higher than his spent, I believe. I forget the dice. I'm not going to re-roll the camera to find out what he needed to be. I'm not going to like pause and search through. So hopefully we rolled higher than that. Okay, so he's done. Now this guy is going to shoot, and he's going to shoot right here. It's like, please don't shoot. We don't want any return fire. We're hurting. We're hurting. But I'm going to see if I can put some hurt on him. Now it is adjacent, so I'm going to be rolling the big fat die 12s. Don't roll a 1. Whoa! 23 plus 11 is 34. Oh yeah! We just decimated them. We just rocked his world. Because he's get +1, so he's at a 12. Yeah, oh, he rolled a 15 and 27. All right, we just rocked him. There's a lot of wounded. Where'd his marker go? Oh, I moved it so I could see what his stats were. It's like, what the heck? All right, here we go. I was shaking. All right, well. Okay, so he said, I'm going to return fire. Now, again, I could have anybody return fire, but only one. But he got shot at, he's going to return fire. So he says, what? Son, you don't know. You don't know. But he gets to roll the die 12s because he's adjacent. Oh, I just dropped a die 12. Got it with the foot. Okay, here we go. 5. Oh, man. Okay, so that's bad, right? That's 18. That is just an 18. Where is it? Dang. Okay. Because that's 5. Yeah, 5 plus 3 is 18. And that was rolling the fancy dice. Okay, so we got to check for defenses. Whew. I think we're okay. Because he's already at 15. He's good. He's at, yeah, 12. Oh, yeah, he's active. So he actually has to, he's not quite done yet, right? So he's at 15. 12, he's good. And he's 11 plus 3 is 14. 5, ooh, barely made it. So they're good. Yeah, I rolled terrible on those 2 die 12. Okay, so that's done. Now, he can't return his own. Okay, he was the firing unit. He returned fire. Okay, that's it. Done. Somehow, I think I made it oopsie somewhere. Oh, no, he did really good. Yeah, he did really good. He just pulled a bad damaged chit. Okay, so then the Stug is going to shoot. Stug. Yep, he's going to fire right there. So he's got an attack value of 21. Let's see here. Let's watch the action. He's shooting at that Su-85 there. So he's got an attack value of 21. We're going to add our 2 die 10. Oh, good. So that's over any hindrance. And it's 12 plus 21, so that's 33. That's a pretty good total, actually. Attack 20, so 33 on my tracker. That's good. That's good. So now his defense roll. His defense is 25. Well, unless I roll really bad, he's fine. 12 and 25, so that's 37. So yeah, they survive that just fine. So he flips. Sorry. And then I have this engine grenadier. They have a range of 3. 1, 2, 3. So they roll 2 die 10 to attack. Now, I can return fire. I could have this guy return fire. They're going to return fire. Does that change his... Yeah, he's active. So we're going to return fire. 6 and 7 is 13. That's above his spent. So 13 plus 18... 31. That's really good. We might wreck those Stugs there. So, but they have a defense of 22 plus 1 is 23. So 23, 33, 35. So he tried to return fire, but it didn't help. It's not bad. Okay, so the Grenadier is going to shoot. So they have an attack of 15. 15. Oh, rolled a 1, so they didn't get. Now, technically, we could return fire, but we'll just skip that. Should we? No, we'll return fire. So you can make 1 return fire attack, and if we roll over the 4, that rate of fire, we could attack back at the MG42 as well, which we didn't. And we missed because we had a 1, so it got the hindrance. So they're spent. So they can't return fire. I was thinking of holding off on that just to return fire at the MG42, but I thought, what are the odds of rolling a 1? Pretty good, apparently. All right, so the MG42 now, let's go ahead and zoom in on that action a little bit. So the MG42 is going to shoot down, and that's 14. Oops, 14. So doesn't hindrance. So 14 plus 11 is 25. I'm going to put that on the 25. They get what do we say for Woods? Woods is a cover of 2. Okay, so they have a 13. 13 plus 7 is 20, which is less than. Okay, so they are going to take some damage. Uh-oh. So they break down. Well, I'll break them down. Let me get some rifles. Alright, so we got 2 rifles. 1 is pinned because the damage transfers down. And they're going to try to return fire. Now they can return fire because it's split, but the firepower dropped drastically. Now it's only an 8. And they rolled a 1 for hindrance. So that would be not only spent, but, hindrance. So it's a miss, and they're spent. Then the MG42 is done. They've done their job. Then the SDK is going to shoot up here at this rifle unit. We'll just check that real quick. It's only a 7. Well, it's good. 7 and 12 is what? 19 on the attack. 19. I'm putting that on my tracker. Attack total of 19. The defense is pretty good. So it's 11 plus 2 for the Woods. So that's a 13. Well, 13 and 9 is 23. Yeah, so they did beat that. Yeah, the little HE there is not super powerful, so they fired. It's an individual vehicle as well. If it was a platoon, it'd be a little bit higher, but they're dug into the woods really, really good. Okay, that finishes that activation, so all these spents will come off. It's only a couple. And then we will be able to check for the last activation cube of the turn. Woo! So much has happened on this this turn now. So we're going to start this last activation. Let me grab the die 10. So right now we're on the 6th side of the German player, and they're getting a 9. Well, okay. That does give us some options. So you can see there we could draw 2 asset cards that we're not using at all, or draw 1. We could do the sniper. Now the sniper, we can flip the sniper marker over to our side. There's trying to think here. There's some player with the, so at the end of the turn we can do sniper activity, and that's something we'll check when we do the end of turn procedure, which is over here. So I could, since it's already on the German side, I don't need to do that. We could do an advance, which again, I can move everything like 1 hex, and then I can move infantry into melee with other infantry. I think I'll hold off on that too. We could do an assault where I can move vehicles into, or I think they can move and fire. Plus then assault, I could move a vehicle into a hex like with infantry or something like that. We could do rally. I think I bumped some of these by accident. We could do a move. We could do a fire. I mean, it's an expensive fire when it's only normally 2 for the German player to fire, and to spend 9 to fire. I mean, that's a lot. But what I'm looking here at the board. So whatever I do is going to put the initiative firmly on the side of the Russians. So as we're looking at this defensive line, I think I'm going to try some rally rolls, because I've got a lot of wounded stuff that I don't necessarily want to have die. So we're going to rally. That might not be a good choice, but I'm going to go for it. So first I'm going to shift. I just moved it here to give you a lay of the land, but let's go ahead and shift this 9 points. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Woo! Okay, that's 3 over onto the Russians, and now we're going to check for rally. So we've got now with the rally, I am trying to remember. Let me look at the rule book here. Does it cost initiative to rally? They have a little summary here. Yeah, attempt to remove hit markers. Rolls greater than or equal to failed attempt with red. Start with 2 die 10. Minus 2 dice if rallying unit is in melee. Plus 1 if stacked with a friendly command marker. None of these guys are stacked with command markers. I have separated the command markers out. Okay. Now what I could do is I actually have 1 more German command marker. I could drop it right in here, which would almost guarantee all of them would succeed. So we'll do that. Since I know I'm going to rally, I'm just going to pop it in there. And plus 1 die if rallying unit has cover of 1 or more. Now I might have neglected that, but these guys were in the open earlier when I had some Soviet units over here rallying. Right, they were in the open, they weren't in cover. So this will increase their odds of rallying greatly, because they're in cover of plus 1 or greater, and they got the command marker. So I will raise them from die 10s to die 20s for rallying. So that's fantastic for them. Might not do so much for the tank, but it is what it is. Let me just look. I just want to make sure that there's is or is not an initiative cost with rally. I think pretty much everything does have some kind of initiative cost if you do it outside of your marker. There's advance. Where's rally? Melee fire, return fire, the rally. The player activates 1 or more friendly units with the hit markers attached. Fresh units can't be activated during a rally. Oh. Each activated unit can then make a single rally attempt. It does not say that you have to pay initiative to rally with them. Alright, so we're just going to rally. Everybody who's got a hit marker, we're going to attempt. So I'm just going to check this square here. So remember, we get plus 1 die because there's a command marker, and we get plus 1 die because they're in cover of 1 or greater. So that would bring us from a die 10 to a die 12 to 2 die 20, and that's as high as we can go. So first of all, that broken unit needs a 12 or higher to succeed. I'm feeling lucky. Perfect, 18. So they rally. That platoon is back in action, so I'm going to drop that into the bag. Then we need a 6 for the shaken unit. Now, the reason why I really needed to do this rally for all of these people is because 1 more hit and they're taking physical casualties, and these guys have already been reduced down to squads. So 1 more hit and they're dead. So we got to save some of them. 23, they're safe. Safe. And then this unit here needs an 8 or better. Safe. Good. And then this unit here is in cover that is greater than 1, because you get cover, well, you get, does it say cover of 1 or greater? I think it said cover 1 or greater. So that might give them a bonus to their rally. If the unit can currently claim a cover of 1 or more, but now not in the same square as a command marker. So that Stug is in rough ground, so they're going to be rolling 12s. So, and it's an 18, and it's red. Okay, if I fail this, then one of them will be lost. That means like the crew abandoned it for mobility. It's a mobility kill at this point. So, good luck. We need to 18 or more. We can do it. Nope, 11. Oh, and it's just a squad. It's a single tank. So it's not even a platoon that I can break down. So the crew, in my mind, they bail. This sucker got punked pretty good. So they said, we're out of here. Okay. Then that brings us over here. They're not in cover. Oh, man. It's, ooh. So as it stands, with this unconfirmed kill, they can't fire or move. And it's an individual tank, so it's not a platoon. I can't break it down. This is already pretty devastating. If I don't do anything, it can be there to absorb hits from the other T-34s, because they're going to keep plunking at it. Because if I fail that roll, it's gone too. And a 16 on 2 die 10 can be done, but I don't trust it. I think what I'll do is leave it, because right now it is kind of dead. It is kind of dead as it stands. It doesn't pose a real threat right now. So having discussed that out, I think I will just leave that until I can drop a command marker on it maybe later and increase its odds of rallying, or let the Soviets keep pounding it until it's done. Because I heard that was something that happened if you know, during the war, a lot of times if they could not confirm something was dead, they would just keep shooting it over and over until they could see that it clearly was dead. So that's where we're at right here. Is it's wounded, but they don't know if it's dead or not. Yeah, I almost wish they had a mechanic, kind of like Conflict of Heroes, where the damage marker is hidden, so you don't know exactly what's wrong with it. But, you know, being a solo player, I can see everything. Okay, that would be the end of the turn. That's everything we activated for the German player. So let's do a quick little overview on the map here. What we've got is the Soviets have pushed, and they have a very good push going here on the left flank. They've moved some stuff up. They're starting to kind of pincer right here. Not so much happening in the center. And we've got also a little bit of a collapse on the left. We've punctured, you know, have caused some damage here. Most of the fighting is going to be over here on the left. So we'll see how that goes. The minefield is going to funnel some of this direction where they go. So that's cool that it's there. And then we'll find some more sighting markers as we push up. So yeah, right now the Russians, I think, are in a very good position to push the German player out. Historically, we read that this was a German victory, but it might not go so favorably. But again, this is only one turn. So let's go to the board, because there's a few things we can now check. So what we'll do, let's move this over here a little bit. Thank you, ARM. So we're going to do draw event only if using the optional rules. So I'm not, you know what? The game is early enough. Look what I have. The events in their own little baggie already. Let's do it. Go big or go home, right? So I'm going to draw one of these randomly. Bing. And we draw whatever that is. It's, come on, you. Steady on. Let's read steady on. That is in the, I think it's in the playbook. Has the events. Steady on my wayward son. Okay, those are the assets. Steady on says, return all previously removed event chits to the cup. Any event chits currently marking something in play remain where they are. Then remove this chit from play as normal. This event has no other effect. Okay, well, if we had drawn any other events, they're going to go in, but they haven't, so I'm going to pull this out now so I can no longer grab steady on. So that one, okay, cool, no biggie. Number 2, advance the turn marker 1 space. We're now on the 7. Bloop. Make 2 die 10 sudden death roll. We haven't hit the sudden death yet. Remove all smoke 2 markers. Nope, flip all 5. There's no smoke on the board. Player with the active sniper conducts sniper activity. Okay, let's read that. Sniper activity. I'm hitting the rule book for that. Sniper activity. Sniper activity. Oh, of course. That's where I should pause the game and find it. I know it's near the beginning. It says, the player whose side of the sniper marker is currently face up counts the total number of active enemy command markers, selects one of them, then rolls 1 die 10. If the result is greater than the count, there is no effect. If the result is less than or equal to the count, the opponent must choose either eliminate the chosen command marker, placing it back in the counter mix, or permanently lower his command and control level by 1 to a minimum of 0. Oh, okay. Well, first of all, I have 3 Soviet command markers on the board. So we're going to see if we can assassinate a general. So I'm going to roll a die 10. If I roll a 3 or less, I rolled a 5. So no decision making. My sniper has failed. Move markers in pending command to available. All of the markers are currently on the board. Move active tactical markers to pending to command. Okay, so earlier the Soviets had played a card where they could flip one of these command markers, and they did. They flipped it to the tactical side. That means this is now returned over here to the pending command. So basically, this unit, they exhausted themselves, are coming back to sleep, shave, rest. Then on the next turn, they'll go to available. So for now, they are gone from the field. So not only was that a good decision by the Russian player to, make that an initiative expense, but now it's off the field. So anything happening on the right-hand side of the board over here for the Germans is going to cost them 2 initiative points to do stuff. So that was actually really smart for them to do that. And then flip all of the missions to tactical. So what that means is now I'm flipping all of these. So I'll show you that here in a second. So everything else on the board now goes from their mission side to the tactical side. So on the board, so that means like that got flipped from 0 to 1. So everything that was on here already, that was on the 0 side, now the command is still there, but they're a little fatigued, their resources are used, and now anything within their command range is going to cost 1 initiative point to do something with. And then finally it says set up any scheduled reinforcements, which we don't have any. And then it says reseed the order matrix. So at this point, that's where in a traditional game, your traditional face-to-face game, you would take all these off, roll the die 10s, and randomly place it. But I'm trying my new solo method, which has actually been interesting. I'm going to leave it just like that. So when we come back to start turn 7, we're going to be on the +3 side, so the Russian player will have an opportunity to do something first. So they'll make their first roll. Yeah, so that's 1 turn. So just a quick wrap up. So again, if you watch this all the way to the end, thanks a lot. I appreciate that. Yeah, and just like riding a bicycle, as I start playing the game and checking things out, it starts coming back to me. And yeah, this works fine solo. Like I said, I just made that 1 tweak to the order matrix, and we're good. We're in business, I think. And this, I think, was a really good turn to show you a lot of the mechanics. The only mechanic I didn't do was a barrage, which I could do one. I've got a card for it. But otherwise, we did most of the combat, breaking platoons into some squads, rally checks, decisions to do with your command. Yeah, so this has been, I think, a very, very good turn. We've got some wounded Russians out there. They might want to make some rally checks. Yeah, this is great. I want to say that I forgot how much fun this game is, and I guess I kind of did. I was thinking always how hard this is to play solo, but I think just changing that one item on the order matrix, that fixes the game for me. I think it really does. That way I don't, because when you have the order matrix preceded, it's really hard to play a game of manipulating the orders with your opponent when it's just you. But if you're rolling and you're kind of reverse seating the order matrix, you end up almost steady back and forth like you normally would, but I don't know, I kind of like it. It's hard to explain. If you're not familiar with the game, that might not make much sense to you, but I like reverse seating the order matrix as a solo player. Otherwise, the game plays just fine under solo mechanics. You're kind of running both sides a little bit, having to make decisions for them, but yeah, it's working out great. Yeah, this is cool. So give me a day or two, we'll probably get another turn. It's my wife's birthday this weekend, so I might not get a whole lot of playtime in, but if I can get another game up, cool. But if not, hopefully this gave you a really good idea on how the game plays, and yeah, it's fun. I think it's pretty good. I like the changing of the die effects. Like a lot of games, that makes the game not very chart heavy. So for instance, like I was showing you earlier, you do have your terrain chart. You do have a chart that covers melee. Like it tells you if this particular unit, and you cross-reference with what you've targeted, or vice versa. If you're a Soviet unit and you're targeting a German unit, it gives you some your combat odds values that you need. So there's a melee system here. So that's two charts. Then here's your barrage. So accuracy die, targeting die. And the same thing, what is shooting versus the target. And it's very specific by the type of target. And then here's a basic player aid with like your, oh, this is what I was looking for. It was there, APCR. I didn't have to look at it, but it's right on the play aid. But there's a couple things here you can do with your special actions. Anyway, here's the sighting markers, what the different things do. So mines, and then your entrenchment. So there's a few player aids, but it's not super chart heavy, and I think that's cool because the charts are built into the counters. If they're active or not active, it changes their statistics, and then changing your die size, again, based on just a few things to check, and again, that represents what information you might find on charts. So I think it's a very clever game system, and I hope this really helped kind of solidify the game overall for you. But I will leave it at that because this I know for sure has been a longer video than the one I did yesterday for this. So thank you for watching. Again, please leave some comments. Let me know what you think, and I will talk to you all later. All right, take care. Bye.